Hi everyone, Brian Valerio, Vice President in the Proxy Solicitation Group at Alliance Advisors, and today I'm going to talk about ISS's recent release of its proposed changes for the 2021 proxy season voting guidelines. I have a link to the proposed changes below if you want to take a look at the full document for yourself, but what I wanted to do for you today is highlight some of the key changes for the US market. So let's go ahead and start with the proposed change to board racial and ethnic diversity policy. So the proposed change states that beginning in 2021, ISS is first going to flag companies that don't have any apparent racial or ethnic diversity at the board level. And then starting in 2022, so the following year, so not this upcoming proxy season, but the following proxy season, ISS will recommend against the nominating committee chair of S&P 1500 and Russell 3000 boards where there is no apparent racial or ethnic diversity, absent mitigating factors. So what are those mitigating factors? Well, some examples that they provided are the presence of a racial or ethnically diverse candidate at the board at the previous meeting, and a commitment to have at least one racially or ethnically diverse director going forward. Now, the second major change, or the second major proposed change, I should say, for the 2021 voting guidelines, it relates to risk oversight, and it relates to specifically environmental and social oversight. So ISS highlighted that a material failure of risk oversight of environmental and social issues such as climate change, they specifically called out in the proposed change, may prompt a negative recommendation against individual directors. So that's the second key change that could impact voting at board of directors going forward for ISS if this change goes through. Now I'll conclude with a third major change that ISS has put forward in this proposed change, and that relates to the exclusive forums. So ISS has updated and expanded its policy on exclusive forum provisions. It broke it down into both federal forum provisions as well as state forum provisions. So first, let's attack the federal forum provisions updates. ISS's new or proposed policy will generally support federal forum selection provisions that specify that the district courts of the U.S. are the exclusive forum for federal securities law matters. And ISS is generally going to oppose provisions that restrict the forum to a particular district court, so a particular federal district court like SDNY or EDNY, for example. And ISS noted that unilateral adoption of such a provision will be considered a one-time failure under its unilateral charter or bylaw amendments provision, and that could potentially prompt a vote against individual directors, committee members, or the entire board. Now, turning to the state forums, ISS is generally going to support charter or bylaw provisions that specify Delaware or the Delaware Court of Chancery as the exclusive forum for corporate law matters for Delaware incorporated companies. And it will recommend on a case-by-case basis for other provisions in other states. And ISS will generally oppose provisions that specify a state other than the state of incorporation for companies. And again, unilateral adoption of such a provision will be viewed as a failure of the unilateral charter bylaw amendments provision and could prompt against voting for individual directors, committee members, or the full board. So those are some of the key takeaways. Those are my three key takeaways for ISS's proposed changes to the 2020 proxy voting guidelines. It's been a busy few days. There's been a bunch of updates that have come out from ISS and Glass Lewis, and we will continue to post content to keep you all abreast of the changes. And if you have any questions about these changes, please feel free to connect and we'll talk through them. Thanks.